Hey guys, it's Whitney Baker here with Jostens Midwest and yearbookuniversity.com, and today we're going to talk about your selection of photos. As you get closer and closer to more deadlines coming up, you're probably putting the final touches on your pages, working with pictures a lot, writing the captions. But today, let's talk about different reasons that you should select certain photos and reasons that you shouldn't select certain photos. Okay, so let's say that the homecoming game just happened, and we know how homecoming week is, right? There's Spirit Week, there's dress-up days, there's the game, there's the crowning, there's all the club activities, there's a lot going on, right? So you've got a ton of pictures, and you probably have several photographers for that week, right? So when they bring the cameras back and you load them to your server, how many pictures do you have? Probably 2,000? I don't know. With digital photography these days, you're just taking pictures all the time, which is great. It just gives you a bigger job when it comes to photo selection. So let's talk about that today. So the first thing that you're obviously going to want to do is you're going to look through all the pictures and just eliminate the ones that have technical problems. And by technical problems, I mean lighting issues, focus issues, depth of field, blurs that weren't intentional. Anything that's technical, balance of contrast and that sort of thing, anything that's bad, that's very just clearly bad, just delete it, just get rid of it. And then we'll have a handful or several handfuls, I'm sure, of good pictures to look through. And so then the next thing that you're going to want to do is open up those great pictures in either Adobe Bridge or Lightroom or whatever it is that you use to view your pictures. Now, I like Adobe Bridge. I like the fact that you can rate your pictures there, and then you can filter them by 5 stars, your favorites. So it's just a really easy way for photographers or photography editors to go through and say, okay, this is a 5-star photo, and this one is a 1-star photo, and now we know we're going to look at all the 5 stars later. You're going to want to select your best storytelling photos. So these days, with all the social media and all the selfies we're taking and all the friend photos that we're taking, looking at the cameras, sometimes it's hard to tell, a good photo from a bad one. And for Yearbook, we want storytelling photos. We want to be able to look at the photo and have some idea of what was happening. And if we don't know what was happening, there's a really great caption there to explain it. So storytelling photos are going to be your best bet. Identify the angle of your story. Your dominant photo often stands out, when you're looking through your photos. If there's a 1 or 2 really, really, really awesome action-packed photos, and chances are those are going to be your dominant photos. But one thing to think about is that dominant photo should relate to your story, should relate to your theme, should relate to your headline. So if there's any way of tying that angle to that dominant photo, you definitely need to do that. That's something that judges are looking for if you're a competing book, but it's just really great design. When you're picking the image for your dominant, you want it to have emotion. You want it to have some action, right? A lot of times if we're talking about, a field trip, we've got a group photo of kids standing around, and yeah, that's fun and cute. But it's not meant for a dominant photo. We want to see some tears. We want to see laughing people having a great time. We want to see that winning touchdown reaction from the crowd. Okay, these are the dominant photos that we want to see. And then once you have your dominant photo, you're going to look for the rest of the photos that tell the rest of the story. So maybe our dominant photo on that homecoming page is going to be the crowning of the queen. It's always a great photo, but we have a secondary package that might be about the Spirit Days. And then we have a small little collection of photos that are about the water boys that deliver the water to the football players. I mean, that's a big job too. So we want to kind of categorize the rest of these photos into little collections, and those collections should tell their own individual story, and then that is what you'll pick from. Diversity is really important when it comes to selection of your photos, and there's several different types of diversity we should be thinking about. We want to see the diversity of different actions. So we've got the crowning, we have the touchdown, we have the clubs hanging up their posters. So we have all different kinds of actions and variety of actions and things that are happening in those photos. We don't want 6 photos of the same quarterback scoring the same winning touchdown, right? So let's get some diversity in the action. We want diversity in number. So we might, it's really easy to get a photo of one person doing something, but we want to have diversity in the number of kids. So we've got, some close-ups with just one person. We've got some group shots that have lots of people or crowd shots, and then we have some small groups that are groups of, 4 or 5 students working together or doing some sort of task. So diversity in number. We want to have diversity in crop. And by that, I mean, different orientations of the photo. So we've got vertical, we have horizontal photos, obviously. And then we want to have different crops, meaning we want to have some really tight crops that are up close. And then we want to have some that are far away so we get the whole landscape of what's going on. So having different crops on there and different orientations of photos also helps your design. And then lastly, just diversity in general. We know that your building isn't all one color, shape, or size. So we want to have diversity of all types of students that are at your building. And we know that homecoming involves so many kids, so there really shouldn't be just one group of students that is featured on that page. Now, we've talked about all the things you should do. Let's talk about some things that you shouldn't do. And sometimes what we forget is the photos on our pages, if they have people in them, which they obviously most of the time do, those photos should be looking into the page. That is really good design. It helps bring your reader right back to the other elements on your page and those stories and the headlines, and it keeps them really interested. Keep your faces out of the gutter. It makes for a really weird looking person, really honestly, like an alien. It's okay to have body parts crossing, arms or legs, but we want to keep all faces out of the gutter. And when you place your photos, remember to crop them. So if we don't have any kind of photo composition within those photos, don't be afraid to play with the crop so that we do turn a photo that has a centered subject into a photo with the rule of thirds. We don't want to duplicate people. A lot of times it's the same kids that are involved in all the activities, but if you can, try to diversify the different kids that you can feature on the page. Now, there are some times where, we have to duplicate somebody, and only do that in cases that it's avoidable or unavoidable 100%. But most of the time you can find somebody else to picture. Don't ever crop a horizontal picture to be a vertical photo or a vertical photo to be a horizontal photo. It just doesn't work that way. That's just the nature of shapes. They're just different, right? So if you need a different orientation, find one that is that orientation. And then lastly, if you can avoid the mugging of the photos, that would be really great. Sometimes, like I said, they're really cute to have group shots with, kids chunking the deuce or whatever they do now. And that's fun. They make some great photos, but they're not for yearbooks. They're for social media, and they're for your personal pages and your scrapbooks at home. So hopefully this will give you some tips to consider when you're finalizing your pages and selecting the photos. If you ever want me to take a look, or Allie to take a look at any of your pages and critique your photo selection, maybe give you some suggestions, feel free to email us a file or a page number. We'd be glad to take a look. That's some of our favorite stuff to do. So I hope this helps, and I hope you have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye, guys.